after, so let's get rolling. The meeting here tonight primarily is going to focus on the event we are planning in the fall of this year. We picked the date, the 19th of October. I know Matt and Linda were going to check out the TPC, the venue. Is that all taken care of?
On hold.
On hold. Okay.
Yeah, we've got it reserved for that day and time.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion about cost on that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I don't think it's a huge concern. If we have to pay a rental cost on that room, I'd say it would be below $500 or below.
Okay.
And we can probably take care of that with sponsorships if we need to.
Yeah. Are we still thinking of doing, what was it, appetizers or something, or and a cash bar? Is that still
I
under?
think so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because at that hour of the day, you have to probably do something. Okay. So the big thing is the speakers. What are we looking at in terms of some of the speakers for the event?
I thought we had talked about Judge Boyd.
Okay.
And we were going to have Mike Levy reach out to him, which he has not done yet because.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Levy about that.
Yeah, he will need to know the date, the time, how much time the judge is expected to fill, and what he's talking about.
Okay. And we were looking at Christina Vella.
From St. Jude's. Kate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the lady from affiliated with Hope Church.
Yeah.
With their purchase program. I
Have you
have
talked to her?
Pastor Chip Briggs right now over there, who oversees that whole program. But I mean, and everybody says how great she would be. So I have not met her yet, but I'm looking to get her contact info to
Okay.
connect her with her.
Would you refresh my memory about her background?
She, I forget where she lives, but she comes here. She's a survivor herself.
Okay.
Speaks on the topic already. He helps with the purchase program, which is all about child sex trafficking and, getting kids who, and I think it comes from the courts, actually. I think so. The court will send, and the purchase program is approved, and they are bringing kids back to, get them on the right track, essentially. Take about a dozen a year, and they're expanding their program into the center of town a little bit now too. But this particular person sounds like the right one. If we want to get a different survivor other than forgetting her name, the lady who was part of, yeah, if we're looking for somebody different,
Yes.
Yes.
I think we can get that with this individual.
Okay.
Kate, is the gal from St. Jude's a pretty compelling speaker? Have you heard her?
Okay.
Good.
I will talk to Ashley from there.
Yeah, that would be who you would go through is Ashley.
Yeah. Les, do you want to do that, Kate?
I can do it. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, why don't you do, because you're on the board and you're connected.
So how long, what time would she speak? How long would she speak?
Okay.
Michael, if you would put together a one sheet for all the speakers of
Yes.
going on.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Okay,
will do
great.
that and I'll get that out.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, one sheet on the event. Okay. We're looking at.
And the speakers get free drinks.
So you want to speak, right?
Yeah, we want them to be loosened up and compelling, right?
Okay, we got 3 speakers. Okay. Do we want to also include Lynn Green from
From the police department?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I think that'd be the maximum we'd want, but I think that'd be great.
Okay, yeah, I don't want more, I don't think more than 4 would be good. We're only gonna have an hour.
Right.
So you're talking about roughly 12 to 15 minutes a speaker.
Well, not that much because you want to leave a little time for
Q
questions.
and A, yeah.
And
So if you're, yeah, so if you're looking
probably
about
have
12
some
minutes.
blathering on about sponsorships, etc.
Okay, so 12 minutes max, 10
I'd
to
say,
12.
I'd tell them 10.
Yeah, 10
They're
minutes.
probably all wordy.
Yeah. Okay.
What
Yeah, we
about,
also want, yeah.
other than that, I was curious because I know we've kicked this around a couple times through the past few months on, sponsors. I mean, what else is there going to be at the event? Is it kind of just, hey, show up, mix, mingle, and have a seat? We're going to have 4 speakers,
Yeah.
or is there going to be any type of like, I don't know, maybe a resource?
Yeah,
You
I think, Matt, you're on, I was thinking that if our target audience is parents, is that still the thought? That our target audience is parents?
Well, would that be something we would ask the speakers about? That maybe they would provide resources or at least maybe point us to materials and things we should have?
I think it might be interesting to be able to put out a survey to the participants after the event
Post survey.
and a post survey and survey them on what they might be interested in receiving.
Okay. So
would-
we
I would
would
ask
have to capture their email addresses.
Joel, do you have something?
I would ask these speakers if they've spoken to audiences before, what was the event like? How was it crafted? How were people received? What type of information was passed out? Were there other sponsors? And they could probably guide you in the right direction.
That's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so ask the speakers to give us some
Yeah, that's-
advice.
Because I
Sure.
probably, if I were a parent of something like that and I was worried, I probably wouldn't go up to somebody afterwards and say, hey, my daughter's becoming a hooker. What should I do?
Yeah, I'm sure they could tell you what has gone over and what has absolutely not gone over.
Yeah.
And I think you're more concerned with what has not gone over than what does, because common sense is going to tell you what the good is. But there's always something that everybody found that they either were bored with, didn't like, or had no use for, and they could really guide you in the right direction. So everybody who walks out of there is going to have a really good feeling that they were at a good event.
Yeah. And that's a good point on the resources. And it's very easy for me to get that information too. I mean, I deal with enough of the different nonprofits and services. Metro would be a great resource for that too. But I think we might want to just maybe have a couple of tables, not necessarily have people working the tables, because, to Joel and your point, what hasn't worked. Sometimes you go to these events and you're a bunch of, there's 100 people there and you don't really want somebody to see you talking to a person that's working a table that might be, they're not comfortable with. So if you just have the few tables with some of the resources there and maybe, labeled appropriately, maybe that's an easier way to have it. But I think it's nice to have a resource, kind of a takeaway after you've gone and spoken.
I totally agree, Matt, because as with any event, you have to define where's your focus, and if the table conversation is more interesting than what the speakers are, then people are not going to be looking at the speakers. They're going to be gathering around the tables because the people manning the tables are giving more information. And I think, I think you're absolutely right. Where's the focus to the event? And
We may want to create a one-sheet takeaway of just phone numbers, names of agencies and phone numbers, or contact information of if
How
people.
difficult would it be to develop an app that we could put all this information in and have them download the app? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know the logistics of doing that.
why not make them go to your website, go to Rotary, so they can not only download what they need, but they can discover Rotary. Because if there's people there who
Mhm.
don't know Rotary, and again, it's just, you know me, I think after enough of these conversations, I'm all about promotion. It's what it's all about. And if you can put all this information on the Rotary website and have people visit it, they not only can gather the information, but they're learning about you too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, we can also put that on the app, you
True.
know.
Well, listen, whenever you watch the news, like I watch Channel 8 News,
Yeah,
and they always say, for more information, look at 8newsnow.com. I mean, they make you
yeah.
go to their website.
Yes.
So,
That was the exact same thing.
whatever, just an idea.
Yeah, I think getting an app done, Michael, is a heavy lift and costly.
Yeah.
Something like that done specific. So I'm with Joel on that one. I think the directing to the website is a great idea. Resources, additional resources with appropriate links available at our website. Such
Okay. So as you talk to the speakers, we need to get information from them of what would be appropriate resources to include them.
Yep. And I
Okay.
think we could get other resources that are not from the speakers too.
Right.
It just other shade tree shelter, wherever else might be out there.
I bet
Mhm.
the Metro has a whole list of them.
Yeah.
But you also, when you talk about an app, there are different kinds of apps. And we do have some ins with people at UNLV. There's some kids there who could probably put together a pretty simple app for us to download with Rotary and stuff on it. I'm just saying, if we talk to Diane, she may know somebody there who could do that for us. It's not building an app like that for some of these kids is like 2 hours of work. They're crazy.
Yeah, well, it would be 4 hours of work to train any one of our members how to use it.
Well,
But now look at our members using it.
I mean, today apps seem to be the world.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing that on their smartphone, just about everybody. So, well, maybe it's something to explore.
Maybe that's something, as Matt said, we possibly want to team up with Metro about that.
Mhm.
They may be a great resource for that.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, let me reach out to Diane Zapek and see.
I wouldn't think it would be fine arts. I think it would be a different department at UNLV.
Well, but she could
Yeah.
point us to that department. Yeah. Adriana just asked a question about resources for what parents should say to kids. I don't know if this is going to be, this is more of a resource information. Because that's such a delicate matter that we're looking at of doing that as a separate event just for parents. This is more of an informational resource for the general community.
Would that be
And
like family counseling?
well, basically, it's like, what do you say to your children to make them aware of the situation? Or what do you say if you realize that your child is poking around in that area? So, which, and I would think that would be something we would do later and specifically target parents and guardians or not the general public on that.
Probably need specific kind of people who could actually talk to that, who have experience and background and do it for a living.
Yeah, yeah.
Michael, if I could interject, in part of this tutorial club that we've got, we're instructing the children. We brought in a special therapist,
Mm-hmm.
spoke to the parents, and then had their permission to speak to the children about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the ideas I have about, integrating with what the awareness that you're doing for this particular committee.
Yeah.
And,
you're
we had
right.
one meeting of that, and it was very successful. They were very appreciative.
You're right. Yeah, you're correct, Roger, that that's a very sensitive issue and you need somebody who
Absolutely.
really has the expertise to do that. And that would probably be someplace, I'm going to just guess, maybe just one speaker, maybe two at the most, that would just talk with parents. I also see us doing something also with children.
It was a joint thing. They spoke to the parents first, and then they addressed the children separately.
Yeah, because especially today, kids are more aware of things than we ever were when we were kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so, yeah, so they need to be at their level educated. And again, you need somebody who is trained specifically to do that
Yes,
type of education.
right.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look. Between now and our next meeting in April, we'll work. Between now and then, we'll confirm the speakers that we're going to have, and we'll start compiling resources. And then I will talk to Diane at UNLV to see what the feasibility of finding somebody to maybe develop an app. It might be the, easiest saying it, because I'm looking at, people don't like paper anymore. They don't want a lot of stuff. This is stuff we could put on the website as well as in the app. I mean, it could be put on both places. So it could be a dual purpose. And one of the things I lean on, I like the app, is that parents can easily share that with other parents. If some friend or family member asks someone, about, well, why don't you go to the Play Store or wherever it is, and you can download, or go to this website, you can download this app. And just as Neil said, yeah, we could open it up. We can put information on Rotary and whatever else we want to put on there. Yeah. Everything's going to apps today. We had talked about making donations to some charity in the name of the speakers. Is that still a feasible idea?
I like that idea. It is
Okay.
good.
Okay. So how much of a donation would we be looking at making?
If you're going to do that, you need to make it significant. So it's got to be at least $500.
So we're looking at $2,000 then.
Probably, but I mean that's one of the reasons why you need to get some people to sponsor it.
Exactly.
But I mean, if
Okay.
you're going to do that, I mean, it's got to be a significant amount for somebody who's going to take the time to come and do that, and show that we're really serious about this.
Okay,
Because unfortunately, in this world, money talks and nobody walks, right, Joel?
right.
Oh,
So
boy.
Yeah, Michael, I
looking at
thought we
a
had
budget
talked about, sorry.
of what, 4,000?
Yeah.
I don't know what the $4,000 to $5,000 is what we're talking about.
As
If we're
far as
doing
your
two-
budget for the meeting,
Yeah,
well, if you're sponsoring food, you're gonna have to decide on how heavy you're going on that.
yeah,
And then rental, normally with TPC, if you can work out a deal for a cash bar with a minimum. So say, okay, we think we're gonna have 200 people there, and we wanna work out a deal with you for a $3,000 minimum on the bar, or $2,500. Then if we don't reach that, we have to make up the difference. That's cheaper than, and see if we can get them to waive the bartender setup fee. And if they consider waiving the rental fee if we buy enough food. I'd rather spend money on food, and Kate and I so agree on this, than rental. Rental is money down the rat hole.
yeah. Well, if we buy a certain amount, don't they usually toss their rental in on that?
Well, yeah, but you're talking pretty much, are you thinking that you want 200 people at this, or what's your target?
Well, we're looking at probably similar to what we did for Don Snyder. That was what, about 150 there?
And so
Matt?
we had half of the ballroom, right, Matt?
Yeah, we had that half of that back room. I don't want to say it was 100 people,
100 people?
maybe a little more than that, but
No,
it
I
was,
think it was more because it was a good 20, it was a good 20 row seats in each row.
Yeah.
It was pretty big.
I think it might have been 200 people.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that.
we
And
packed
so
it.
you figure 200 people, food and beverage minimum. Well, you've got to think it's probably,
25 to 35 ahead.
I'm thinking
yeah.
F and B,
Okay.
I think it's around 5,000 that we're
Yeah.
looking at for food and beverage minimum. And that is food and beverage. That doesn't include tax and gratuity, which adds another 30%.
But I mean, if if you have 200 people in that room, you ain't doing food and beverage and beverages. I mean, there's no room to walk.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, seriously, we got to. I mean, if you want to do that, you got to take the whole thing and then spread it out a little bit, or have a half hour beforehand in a separate area if that's what you're talking about, and then you come in, you sit down because if 200 people are going to fill up that area, I mean, we did it, we saw it.
is there an outdoor area that's connected? I don't know the room. Is there-
No,
Yeah, there is a
there's a
patio.
patio. We could put the food out on the patio and it's nice that time of year. We could do that.
Just a question.
I'm just saying, you know, if you have 150 of them there early enough to do it, there's no room to walk around there with all the seats there for people to have food
Yeah.
and
They're
drinks.
gonna put their food on the seat. They're gonna put the food on the seat and it's gonna be a mess.
You're going to, you're not charging people to come to this. This is.
Not at this point. We have not thought of doing that.
So my personal opinion, and I know everybody on the screen disagrees with me, if I'm going to informational seminar to prevent my child from being trafficked, I'm not going to expect a slice of pizza. I just, that's how I feel. I'm going to be there an hour. If you have it at a reasonable time that I can go home and have my dinner afterwards. Yeah, a cash bar might be nice before the event begins, but if you're going to do food, like Neil said, it's a whole, and Matt, it's a whole different space issue.
I agree. I say
I mean-
I just scrap the food deal. Just
You know, I mean, to me, again, you made a very good point. When I've gone to informational things like that in the evenings, they usually have like water and coffee and
Yeah.
tea. That's it.
yeah.
Because this is not about feeding, this is about learning.
Correct.
So just to have coffee and water.
Coffee, tea, and water, that's all. And then, you know, that's not gonna cost a lot to do.
No,
But, you know, you have like 3 or 4 stations around the room so people can get to it.
and it makes it simpler too.
And you know what? If they
That's
want,
my belief.
they can go. They can TPC will take their drink order. They'll have to just go around to the bar. They can go get a drink and bring it back in our room. I mean, TPC,
Yeah,
they'd be okay with that.
Well, we know that is cumbersome and it would take forever to get a drink. We know that. And we know that we're going to have to, TPC is somehow going to have to profit here.
So then there's the space, the cost for the room, and I got to remember, it's been a bit since I've personally rented that room. I want to say it was like $500, but if you make that up with food and beverage, then they
Right.
waive $500.
Right.
So even if it is a $500 fee, that's pretty reasonable.
It's
for
very reasonable.
that venue. So parking.
I would still put the bar, I'd put the bar up out in the foyer as people are coming in. Maybe have, maybe you open up the thing a half hour before the program begins. With the bar, you have the resource tables out there, let people get together and socialize a little bit first.
well, the
Yeah,
idea
I mean,
was to,
that's great. I just agree with the not putting food out there. I think this is gonna be a mess.
I think so too. I say we get rid of the food idea, save the money and donate it towards the causes.
Well, that's a good agreement.
Neil's dog agrees too.
It
Well,
doesn't sound like
certainly cut down our
he's almost 16, doesn't he?
I mean, then we're looking at an expense of maybe 2,500 to 3,000 at the most.
Yeah, I'd say $3,000. You know, budget that, and I think you'll come under it. quite reasonable.
Okay, so now we need to look at sponsorship. How do we frame that? How do we do, what are suggestions on doing that? And who on the committee want to reach out to work on that aspect of the project?
Well, we got to decide about how much you want to, how much is the sponsor going to be, and what are we going to do for the sponsor? Is it, you know, we're going to put them up on the screen, we're going to put them up on a board along the side. What are you going to do with it?
Well, that's what the
But
committee.
you're doing this because you believe in the process. So
Mhm.
I don't think people are looking at it so much as an advertising revenue type of
Right.
thing, but as a support thing.
I think that your sponsors would be, your target on sponsors would be the honorariums for the speakers. And remember, Michael, you have a budget to work with next year. If this
Correct,
is a
right.
cause that you truly believe in, invest a couple thousand in this.
Yeah, well, we can do that. We can put some money into it. But we can do maybe both, split it with some sponsorships and then with some money from the club.
Maybe you build this sponsorship into the digital advertising program.
Well, that would be up to Neil.
And then again, I'm sorry, I lost that.
Maybe you build a sponsorship for this into the digital advertising program.
Possible. I could talk to Dave Cabral about that.
Yeah, because I agree with you. This isn't a night that you're going to get up there and say, hey, get your party rentals from Steve Finley. That ain't going to work here.
No, this is a very serious subject matter.
Yeah,
So
I do think though that there is some value in the promotion of the event. So you're sending out emails to, you know, get people to attend, and you know, that's probably where the value is for us to be noted on that email, whether it's logo, whatever. But I see that as the biggest value.
We could have screen in the front with the sponsors' logos on there, but I think real low key.
Yep.
yeah.
I agree.
Is this a type of event where really the sponsors will want to sponsor, but maybe not want a lot of the limelight as we would as
Correct.
normal?
Yeah.
I don't want any of the limelight.
Or any of the,
Because they want to do it,
Correct.
so it's sort of like social responsibility.
or something that they're very interested in and
Mhm.
have a cause for.
And we've also found that I agree with Neil that at least $500 per speaker and to the cause that they believe in. Just like Judge Boyd can't accept any money, but we could certainly donate to a cause he believes in. But you may want to offer sponsorships as low as $250 because some of the members find that figure more palatable.
Well, Neil, do you want to head that up at sponsorship for this?
Yeah, I
And-
mean, it comes under the fundraising category, so sure.
Yeah, and who else wants to work with Neil on this?
Nobody wants to work with me on it, see?
Joel, do you want to work with Neil on this?
I don't like his glasses.
You
No,
don't
a
like
minute.
his
no,
glasses?
no.
Wait a minute,
no.
here. How's it,
No, I
how are
love to.
these?
I love to. As a matter of fact, I have somebody that is ready to donate to at one of our causes. And she's a good friend and she's in California and we speak periodically. She's in the entertainment business and I'm making a trip down there. Hopefully she'll have the time April 15th and I'll
Mhm.
have some more information, but she's already said to me that she would like to donate to any one of specific causes that we have. So
Yes,
I would have
okay.
somebody on the back burner.
See, this is the kind of thing, I mean, I gotta brainstorm with some people, but I don't know anybody. I do know one guy there, but this is something like Red Rock Casino should get involved in and people like that in terms of sponsoring. You know, this is the kind of thing that they do get, you know, maybe Howard Hughes Corporation. I don't know. We'll talk to some of the bigger guys, see if we can
Yeah.
get some bigger bucks out of them, you know?
Yeah,
So Joel, you want to work with Neil on this?
sure.
Okay.
Michael, I think I get my budget and starting after July 1 as district governor-elect, I think I can squeeze some money out for this.
Okay,
that's
Roger.
so nice, Roger.
Probably might be at, I agree with Linda, maybe at the 250 level, but I'll shoot for the 500, but I'm sure I can do 250.
Okay, that would be appreciated very much.
You might be able to apply for a grant.
Absolutely. Talk to Shop about that.
Is that is that like a reverse grant? Is that what that would be, or what, or just a?
Well, well, there's a district grant too.
Right, that's what I was
Still got-
referring to district grant, but Eulalie in our international committee, she might look at global grant on this.
The reverse global grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that, and Shab has been talking to me about it. We're looking for that on our cause-based clubs, by the way.
Mhm.
And, so that would be, and they're going anywhere from 25 all the way up to 100,000 on those grants. They have countries like Brazil or South America, India that are investing in America
Mhm.
quite a bit. So Linda's probably familiar with that. This is the information.
Not so, not as much as you are, I'm sure.
A lot of possibilities anyway, so.
Okay. Well, okay. So what do we want to settle on as an honor, or what do you call it, a donation in the name of the speaker, 500?
I think so.
500.
I agree.
Okay, because that would need it, that would be something that those that are approaching the speakers would need to let them know.
And make sure that, make sure they can do that.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
Because as I look at the speakers there, I really only see maybe one who could possibly, but the others would not be able to accept money. Yeah, they would not. But making a donation in their name to something, I think would be a good way. So that's
something
something.
related to the cause.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, the Davis Foundation is always open.
Have you gotten your 501c3 yet?
Not yet, I'm still waiting.
You're still working on that. Okay. Okay, is there anything else we need to cover tonight? We're talking about sponsorships. We got the three,
Rick has his hand up.
Rick.
Yeah, it's they're starting to actively, the Metro Police Department is starting to actively crack down on male predators, especially male predators, seeking sex with underage girls. And also too, that they've started sting operations where a policewoman would pose as a girl 15 years old on the internet and actually say that she's 15 years of age. And these males would fall for it and start trying to set up sexual liaisons with them. Well, the Metro Police Department, once they do arrest them, they publish their picture in the newspaper. And this has happened to two different types of sting operations with pictures of these males, picture.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Right, exactly. But probably be good, we could possibly get one of the supervisors, the head of this task force, to come speak at our organization and at our convention. And they've shed a lot of light on this too, as well, on the sex trafficking, as well as the solicitations of sex with underage girls on the internet, and just exactly what they've discovered or what they found out or exactly what the program entails. Also too, an interesting article I found in the into the newspaper was this one guy, his bright little smiling face on here, and that's of him being arrested for a man accused of robbing women and sex trafficking. And what he's been doing is he's been bringing women into the state of Nevada, Las Vegas in particular, to act as prostitutes and taking their money, of course, for himself. But other than that, bringing them into the state, the city of Las Vegas. Until finally one of these women got a little tired of it. She got arrested and she says, hey, would you guys like some more information on the person who's doing this? And of course, Metro PD said, yes, we definitely would. So they set up a sting operation on him. So once again, the sex trafficking unit of Metro Police Department, if we can get a person from there who is heading this operation to come speak, it would be tremendously interesting.
You mean instead of,
Draw a lot of people in.
instead of Ellen Green, have somebody from that department come?
Right, and besides that, their price is gonna be free, because they're getting paid for it already. So it's not gonna cost us anything for the person to come and speak.
You
But
think
our
you would have
organization-
information, Rick, about, because if I, of course, I've never been a parent and don't plan to be at this point in my life. But I would be interested in knowing what some of these websites are that these kids are on, that these
Well,
guys are
most-
using.
They're apps. Most of them are apps.
Mm.
Do you know what apps they use?
Exactly. And the ones that I'm not real aware of them. But at any rate, Metro, if we can get this, one of these officers of Metro PD to come speak, they'll tell what the apps are, where they're trapping all these men who are getting on it and seeing these girls 15, 16 years of age, and then starting to have conversations with them and wanting to meet them and then get sucked into this, to the sting operation. It would probably be very interesting, and I guarantee it'd probably draw a lot more of the people to our meetings, or rather to our seminar or whatever we're going to have.
Yeah.
Well, that's real concrete information that's, I think would be pretty useful to somebody.
We had that Metro
Very.
officer though. Remember that Metro officer that came to speak to us about that?
That was the
Right.
captain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that was Sasha Loftus.
What about her?
Yeah, the captain for the,
Or the
Summerlin.
Summerlin Command, but
Yeah.
she's been promoted. She's in a different job now.
okay.
Oh,
Rick, do you want to do some poking around and find out who would be a speaker for this event?
Yeah, I've got a couple sources with Metro PD. I
Yeah,
can check and find out who is the head in this, and what date is our
Michael's gonna put together a one sheet with all of that for you.
Yeah,
so you
I
have-
will do that and get it out to you the next day or so.
And I think what Rick has brought up kind of, and something Joel said earlier, what's our purpose here? But like, I think what Rick came up with right now, this is really useful information. We want to have something that people will learn from and can take something home and go to their kid's phone and look and see if any of these things are on there. Or know that if their kid's hanging out at a certain place, that this is where the St. Jude's folks have been finding them.
Well, I told a story before about this friend of mine who's a retired LAPD police officer, and his stepson, when he was 12, he was on one of these sites telling the male who was in his 20s that he was 18 and wanting to set up a meeting with him. Well, a friend of mine who was a retired LAPD cop, got on there, started posing as his stepson, and set up a date and time to meet this fellow. So here's this guy waiting in this parking lot to meet his stepson, and out comes my friend, and pretty soon he's got a 9mm scoot to the side of his head and saying that if you ever do this again, you won't have to worry about being arrested. You'll just have to worry about who your next of kin is under no uncertain terms. And at any rate, the other guy was just absolutely shaking at the time, begging him, please don't turn me into the regular police department. You know, please don't. I did not know. He posed as someone being 18. And so that was the only reason this friend of mine, his name is Al, let the guy go. But lesson learned. So of course he got onto the website and put up a block on there so he could no longer get into any of these sites. And like it was a dating site of some sort. So he could no longer get into them. But these sites do have blocks on them where you can block them out, which parents should be fully aware of. But let me find out, if I can find out who was the head of this task force. What date is our seminar going to be?
October 19th.
Which day?
I put it
October
in the
19th.
chat right
October
now.
19th?
Yeah.
Okay, we got quite a ways to go then, until then.
Yeah.
October 19th.
The
Okay.
the event is 5:30 to 7 with the program from 6 to 7.
Okay, October 19th.
And I'll be sending out a one sheet on this about the whole thing.
Okay,
The purpose and the whole thing on there.
and that'll give plenty of time to work on this.
And it's open to the public and it's gonna be free. There'll be no cost to the public for this, for attending.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I like that idea. Yeah. Okay, we'll have different people that we've had before, and that's probably a good idea on this.
Well, I'm sure that'd be very, very interesting on how they do this, how they set it up, and what sites hopefully they'll reveal what sites they use for this policewoman to pose on, and what information we possibly gather from it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell them what our club is all about and the fact of what we're doing. And, you know, we got to become actively involved. We'd love to have one of them come and speak to us and talk to an audience about this.
I would be curious as a parent to know that if I found out that my kid had been approached or had done something like this, who do I tell?
Yeah, it is. Like I said before, this friend of mine, his name is Al. Yeah, he got on that site immediately. And he even sent a message to him that, you know, his stepson, who's 12 years old, has been trying to formulate dates with other men who are adults. And he got no response back from them. But, you know, he did block the site. And he did, of course, stop his stepson from doing it and cut off a lot of his privileges and told him, you will not get on that computer anymore unless you're in the presence of me and your mom. You will not. And he had no more problem with it. But who knows how many of his friends were doing this too as well.
Sure.
Well, that's the problem, is that they may not do it at their home, but then they go to their friend down the street and mom and dad are not as, you know.
This is true. This is very
Yeah.
true.
Or,
You know,
they, or at school, you know, they talk to other kids at school.
Kimberly mentioned earlier in the call about our Rotary Summerlin member, Kimberly Mull, and she is still a member of the club and also supports this committee, but she and I had a phone conversation about 10 days ago, and she's got some work changes going on in her life. She's also getting married in the next year. And her husband just had an injury. They were down on the strip for a mini vacation and he fell and broke his collarbone, I think it is. So she said she needs to kind of take a step back for a while.
Okay. That's understandable. Okay. Okay. So it looks like we have some goals for over the next month. Confirm speakers. Get out a one sheet. I will get that out to everybody. And we then have, I'll talk to Mike Levy about Judge Voy. Kate's gonna talk to St. Jude. Pat's gonna talk to Hope Church. And Rick is gonna do some sleuthing at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And then we have Joel and Neil and whoever else wants to join them to take a look at what we'll do with sponsorship. Okay. Anything, we covered a lot of territory. Anything else to cover tonight?
Well, I think we made the decision not to do food too, right?
Right, no food, no food.
So Matt, you and I probably need to sometime get together with Karen over at the club and see what we can do there.
Yeah. We can do,
How about instead of food, how about like light snacks, cheese and crackers and those type of things?
Yeah, well, it's just a space issue because, okay, you can have that during the social hour. If you want to open up things and have like 30 or 45 minutes of social time with the bar and past hors d'oeuvres, you could do that. But really to take something into the meeting room and sit there eating a sandwich while you're hearing about this, I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's not the topic for this. It's not like Don Snyder's event.
So let's talk to Karen and see what she recommends.
You know, what, just as an aside, if we're gonna have the bar on the outside with all the tables and stuff, we could probably just do some cheese and vegetable platters. Nothing really fancy, just
We'll have
something.
to see what protocol is health-wise by that time.
Well, hopefully
You
by
can't really
October,
do grab things right now. It all has to be served.
well, hopefully by October, the world will come to
Yeah.
a sense somewhere along the way, so.
I have another suggestion. For those of us who are getting that $25 Pizza Hut certificate for our annual fundraiser, instead of donate the $25 certificates for this cause, and that's have no pizzas at the bar area where people will want to socialize before. And that way it'll be free, well, basically free, won't be any extra cost.
No, no food and beverage brought
Yeah.
into the country club.
Yeah, you have to get the food and beverage from them.
That's right. Okay.
All right,
Okay, so
Settle that.
our April meeting will be on the 20th. And I will send out the one sheet tomorrow and minutes from this meeting. And so we can start moving down on defining a lot of the details on this. Any other
good job,
questions?
everybody.
Okay,
All
Have a
right,
great-
thank you, Michael. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
thank you. Take care.
Thanks, guys.